My first year studying dance in Cuba, I was quite underwhelmed because I was of the impression that the way how the class was being taught was by the teacher simply teaching exercise after exercise without actually focusing on clarifying what we were doing or even telling us if we were doing things right or wrong. However, later on, I came to realize that in the beginning of learning any system, whether it's a movement system or any sort of practice, we have to understand the skeleton of that practice before we can begin applying massive amounts of corrections to that practice. And I was pleasantly surprised when I came to Iyengar Yoga and I discovered that within Iyengar Yoga as well, from a teaching perspective, we also hold this to be true. That when a person comes to a yoga practice for the very first time, they don't have the sort of physical intelligence to hold and handle the sorts of corrections that we can provide them through an Iyengar Yoga practice. However, through consistently showing up and through consistently practicing, once they establish the outer shape of what the practice looks like, then we can guide them into deeper levels of refinement. So today, we're going to be focusing on what is essentially the outer temple of this practice that I'm going to be guiding us through today, where I'm not necessarily going to be focusing on giving a lot of corrections, and I'm not even going to be focusing on really adjusting what people are doing within the pose. But I'm going to use my voice and my words as much as possible to translate a level of clarity that these practitioners are going to demonstrate for us within their practicing of these asanas today. And here with me, we have Mel and Cyril and Lindsay and Eddie. These are people who represent my Iyengar Yoga family here at JP Center Yoga, which as far as I'm concerned is my Iyengar Yoga haven here within the state of Massachusetts. All right, so we're going to begin with Prasarita Pada Dandasana. So separate your feet to the distance of your hips. And when you separate your feet to the distance of your hips, really make sure that the center of your heel is in line with the center of your hip socket. Now, take the hands down by the sides of your hips, exactly down by the sides of the hips, and know that in general, when we take this pose Dandasana in Iyengar Yoga, we're not necessarily wanting for the hands to be by the sides of the hips, but rather we want the hands to go back, and I tell my students as far back as they can go, so that the positioning of the arms can facilitate a forward folding from the abdomen. So let's see that. Let's go into a forward fold from the abdomen. And then as you charge your wrist down and lift your chest up, be in a back bend within your upper back. So that within this Dandasana, we're not having the spine exactly perpendicular to the floor, but rather we're having the abdomen soft and essentially in an Uddiyana Bandha, and we're having the chest broad and expansive, essentially in an Urdhva Mukhasana, an upward facing dog position. And the shoulders are relaxed and the torso is lifting upward. The front of the armpits are lifting upward, and I'm spreading my chest from the center to the sides. Now we're going to take Swastikasana. So take the right foot and cross it beneath the left thigh, and take the left foot and cross beneath the right thigh with the knees pointing straight forward towards the front of the room. Now, there are various positions we can take when we take the Swastikasana seat. However, for today, we're just going to step the feet a little bit further forward so that the legs can be in a more relaxed state. So this is going to be our Swastikasana. Now, the first pose that I teach in any yoga class I'm teaching for the first time to a group of raw beginners is Parvatasana in Swastikasana. So we're going to interlock the hands, let the right small finger be on the outside, and then turn the palms forward and lock the elbows, and then raise the arms up for Parvatasana in Swastikasana. In this pose, descend the buttocks and ascend the chest. Lift the sides of the torso upward. Lift the outer armpits upward. Lock the outer elbows in and charge the wrists up to the ceiling. Descend the buttocks. Ascend the sides of the torso upward. Lift the outer armpits upward. Lock the outer elbows inward and charge the wrists upward towards the ceiling. Then we reach the arms forward, palms facing forward, turn the palms to face us, and now we're going to change the interlock. Now, the left small finger is on the outside. Turn the palms forward, lock the elbows, and raise the arms up once again for Parvatasana in Swastikasana. Once again, whenever I teach this pose, this is the first pose that I teach because this is a very diagnostic pose. Whenever I see a group of people for the first time taking this pose, I can basically gauge what the rest of the class is going to look like. In this pose, descend the buttocks and then soften the ribs. Move the bottom ribs back towards the back of the room and then lift the sides of the torso up. And then after the sides of the torso lift up, the outer armpit also has to lift higher. Then we tighten the outer elbows in and charge the wrists upward to the ceiling. Descend the buttocks, ascend the sides of the torso upward. Then the outer armpit is usually where people get stuck. So we want to lift the outer armpit even further higher and then tighten the outer elbows in. Lock the outer elbows in and charge the wrists upward to the ceiling. Now reach the arms forward, let the palms face you again, and exhale, we release. Re-extend the legs forward towards the front of the room. Press the thighs down, lift the chest up, and spread the collarbones apart. Now we can change the cross of the legs. Take the left foot now beneath the right thigh and the right foot beneath the left thigh. And within our preliminary course in Iyengar Yoga, the first set of poses that we have are these positions of the arms. And a part of that is because when people come to an Iyengar Yoga for the first time or any yoga practice for the first time, we're all tight in the same places: hips, hamstrings, neck, and shoulders. So the first series of poses that we teach are these arm positions. So now we're going to take Gomukhasana, reach the right arm out to the right side, turn the thumb down to the floor, and swing the hand up between the shoulder blades. Swing the hand up between the shoulder blades. Then take the left hand up and back, and we catch. Now Eddie's going to turn around so that you can see what his hand is looking like on the back. So there he is. So this is the position of the Gomukhasana. Now, Lindsay's going to turn around and hold her elbows behind her. She's going to turn around and hold her elbows behind her and be in this position, which is Paschima Baddha Hastasana. Paschima Baddha Hastasana, which is the Western bound hand pose. So if students aren't able to take this full variation of the Gomukhasana, which Eddie and Mel and Cyril are taking, I oftentimes give them this variation, which is the Paschima Baddha Hastasana. Now from there, we're going to raise our left hand up to the ceiling, then the right hand up to the ceiling, and reach the arms forward and down. Now we're going to do the other side of that pose. So reach the left arm out to the left, turn the thumb down, and swing that hand up between your shoulder blades. Take the right hand up and back and catch. Wonderful. So here we see that we're taking the hands in Gomukhasana. Now, what I prefer in this pose is for students to catch all of their fingers. So here we have Eddie catching all of his fingers, including his thumb and his small finger, and that's personally what I like. Another thing that I enjoy within this pose is for this upper arm to be behind the head any amount, so that with the upper arm being behind the head, we have the opportunity to further open the armpit, which is necessary later within our practice as far as our backward bends are concerned. Now, Lindsay's going to go back to Paschima Baddha Hastasana, where the left hand is holding the right elbow and the right hand is holding the left elbow, because in this pose, Gomukhasana, if a student isn't able to accomplish this that Edward and Melissa and Cyril are doing, I let them do this instead, the Paschima Baddha Hastasana. Now, from that position, let's raise the right hand up to the ceiling, raise the left hand up to the ceiling, and reach the arms forward and down. We're going to turn back to face forward, everybody. Then, since the legs have been crossed for this amount of time, we extend the legs forward to the front of the room, and we go back to our Prasarita Pada Dandasana. Prasarita means wide, Pada means foot, Dandasana means staff pose. So this is our Prasarita Pada Dandasana, and we want to extend the heels forward and press the shins, the knees, and the thighs down to the floor. Now from here, we're going to come up to standing in the center of the mat, and we're going to join our feet all the way together, joined. And this pose that we're in now is our Tadasana. It means the mountain pose. We stomp into the back of the heels, we tighten the knees and thighs, we lift the torso upward, and we reach the arms and we lock the elbows. And in this Tadasana, we're still wanting for the top of the chest to be very much open. The top of the chest is open, the arms are extending down. I think it was one time I heard in one of the recordings of either Mr. Iyengar teaching or Gita Iyengar teaching that in this Tadasana, we want to be able to fit a quail's egg under the armpit. So here, I want to open the arms a bit while maintaining the elbows absolutely straight so that as I take this Tadasana, there's a sense of an opening happening at the region of my armpits as opposed to this closing off at the region of my armpits. Mr. Iyengar held that the pits of the body keep us cool. So when I have my armpits open and when I have my hip pits open, it facilitates a cooling down of my body, which is a lovely thing to have. Now from here, we're going to move from our Tadasana to pressing the thighs back, reaching the arms forward and raising the arms up for our Urdhva Hastasana, which is the upward hands pose. And I reach my fingers and I touch the ceiling as much as possible. And I can even look up to the ceiling because I want for there to be a sense of me moving upward as I bend my knees and sit for my Utkatasana. One of the things that often happens in Utkatasana is we automatically drop our torso down and we look down towards the floor. So in preparing for the Utkatasana, I ask them to look up and then sit down to the Utkatasana. Now, Utkatasana is a pose where, depending on the length of your Achilles tendons, you're either going to be able to sit at the level that all of these beautiful practitioners are sitting at, or you're probably going to be a little bit higher. So everybody come up a little bit higher so people could see. So these are some of the ranges. Come up a little bit, Mel, so people could see. Come up a lot of it. Wonderful. So these are the ranges. Come up a lot of it, Cyril. So in teaching Utkatasana, we see this range of flexibilities based on what's occurring within the Achilles tendons and the ankles of students. Inhale, come all the way up, touch the ceiling, reach the arms forward and down, samastitihi. I let people be wherever they can be within that Utkatasana because I know that there are some things that we can change about our anatomical structure and there are other things that we can change. The Achilles tendons, for example, turn around, Eddie. And you all can pause and take a bit of a break. The Achilles tendons here, they don't really have the best vascularization. They don't really have a very strong blood supply. And as a result of that, whether we're in a dance practice, whether it's classical ballet, or we're in an Iyengar Yoga practice, practicing Utkatasana, the length of your Achilles tendons, it's really not going to increase within this lifetime. So in the Utkatasana, I don't really bother people. I say, hey, sit as low as you can sit. Let's turn around. Let's do Utkatasana one more time. We do Utkatasana 2 times because it is a one-sided pose. Therefore, we do it twice. So stomp into your heels, press your thighs back, reach the arms forward and raise the arms up for Urdhva Hastasana. And then in the Urdhva Hastasana, lift the sides of your torso up, lift your armpits upward, lift the base of your wrist upward and look up towards the ceiling. Inhale and exhale, bend your knees and sit. And we're taking our Utkatasana. Ideally, if you have the Achilles tendons flexibility, I would like for my students to sit 1 inch below their knees. Now everybody sit lower, sit down to the floor. Now these people who have very flexible Achilles tendons, when I say sit lower, they go all the way down there. But when a person goes all the way down here in Utkatasana, there is no work. They're not doing anything because of the length of their Achilles tendons, this is a comfortable place for them to be. Inhale, come all the way up, touch the ceiling, reach the arms forward and down, samastitihi. Inhale and exhale. Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, raise the arms up one more time and then exhale, sit. As far as I'm concerned, I would rather you sit 1 inch below the knees because even for the very flexible person, sitting 1 inch below the knees is going to be more a place of work than if they were to sit all the way down to the ground. Is it true? Yeah. It's true. Okay. Now exhale, we sit lower and inhale, we come up. Fingertips touch the ceiling, reach the arms forward and down, samastitihi. Inhale, and we exhale. Now our next pose is Vrksasana. Vrksasana means the tree pose. So we're going to take our hands onto our pelvis, and we're going to look forward at one unmoving object. Because the one unmoving object is essentially important for the balancing situation. So I'm looking at one unmoving object over there. Now I'm going to turn my right leg out and go onto the ball of my right foot. So I'm on the ball of my right foot. In dance, we would say I want to force the arch, really be on the ball of that right foot, so that you can see the direction of this inner groin and inner knee. The knee should be going back. Yes? And then from that position, I lift my torso up, I catch a hold of my right ankle, and I bring the heel as high as possible towards my perineum. The perineum is between the genitals and the anus. The heel has to go high as much as possible. And then once you've established that lock of the foot, you reach the arms out to the side. And this reaching the arms out to the side is important for the balancing process. Now, I am of a firm opinion that the standing poses, the most important thing in the standing poses is that you stand. So I don't care what the arms are doing, I care what the legs are doing. So I want the legs to be firm, I want the torso to be tall, and I want the arms to reach out to the side, away from each other. Then exhale, I take my hands on my pelvis and I take the leg back down, and we release. Samastitihi. Between balancing, I let my students take 2 breaths. Inhale, and exhale, and inhale, and exhale. Because one of the things that happens, especially in a raw beginner class, which this is not, whenever students take a balanced pose and they're shaking in that balanced pose and they drop out of the pose, they try to automatically rush back into the pose with that same shaking, unstable energy. So I want for them to be down and take 2 breaths. There is no rush. And we inhale, and we exhale, and we inhale, and we exhale, so that that part of their consciousness that is still shaken up from the balancing pose and the dropping out of the balancing pose can find itself back to its midpoint. Now we take the other side. Hands on the pelvis, be firm on the right heel, then go onto the ball of the left foot. And then I raise my left leg up, and I bring that heel up as high as possible towards my perineum, and I press my foot into the thigh and the thigh into the foot. Then once that's established, I reach the arms out to the side, far away from each other. I reach the arms out to the side like a tightrope walker. I follow a tightrope walker on Instagram, and this is how he balances on that tightrope. He reaches his arms out to the side to the maximum, because that reaching of my arms out to the side gives me a sense of being balanced in space. And once again, I care more about the balance in a balanced pose than I care about the arms being in the classical position overhead. Now exhale, take the arms down, take the leg down, and samastitihi. Inhale, and we exhale. Now we're going to go to the classical version of this pose, and Cyril and Lindsay are going to do the modification in the back. Hands on the pelvis, be firm on the left heel, go onto the ball of the right foot, and then raise the right leg up and bring the heel as high as possible towards the perineum. And then as soon as you're there, reach the arms out to the side, because the point of the balance pose is to balance. So we want to get to the balance situation as soon as possible. Then from there, I can turn my palms up and I raise my arms up to this position, which is the classical position. Arms out, Cyril. And I stay there. And wherever I am, my instruction doesn't make the people who don't have their arms up feel like they have to have their arms up. So I never say reach your arms upward. I say reach the arms and lock the elbows, which applies to every group of person. I say lift your chest and lock your elbows, which applies to the people in the front and in the back. I say stretch your fingertips and lock your elbows. I say grow tall and lock your elbows. Then reach the arms out to the side, inhale, and exhale, we release and we come down. Wonderful. Inhale, and exhale. Again, hands on the pelvis, be firm on the right heel, and then go onto the ball of the left foot. And then raise the left leg up and take Vrksasana, which is the tree pose. Vriksha is tree, asana is pose, and we reach the arms out to the side, far away from each other. Now this time, the 2 of you in the front will do the modification, 2 of you in the back go to the final pose. Turn the palms up and raise the arms up. In my teaching process, my words do not just cater to the people in the back. So I'm not going to say touch the ceiling and lock your elbows. I'm going to say reach your arms and lock the elbows. Lift your chest and lock your elbows. Stretch your fingertips and lock your elbows. And then exhale, reach the arms out to the side. And we come down, samastitihi. Inhale. And we exhale. Now, we're going to move into the lateral standing poses. The lateral standing poses are the first groups of poses that we teach within Iyengar Yoga. And once again, from a dance perspective, when we're learning ballet for the first time, for example, we learn the first position first before we learn the crossed position, which is the 5th position here. And the reason for that is because the first position and operating in the first position is an easier place to operate than operating in this crossed position over here. So we have standing poses that cross us against our bodies, and those standing poses we learn after we gain a proficiency at learning these lateral standing poses. Now, join the fingertips in the center of your chest, bend your knees, inhale, and we're going to walk apart the first time. Walk the arms and the legs apart. Usually when I'm teaching the very first time, I want my students to walk because the jumping can be a bit intimidating. Now here, the wrist should be on top of the ankles. That is fundamental to the standing poses, that the wrist should be on top of the ankles. If Edward, for example, the rest of you can drop your arms. If Eddie was to have his wrist under his elbow, for example, go. Wrist under elbow, pardon me. If Eddie was to have his ankle under his elbow, for example, and then turn this right foot out, and then from there, bend his front knee and try to form something, you would see that this is an ugly pose. For me, it is an ugly pose. We don't have poses in Iyengar Yoga that look like this. And the reason for that is because this pose is very much back heavy, and this front leg has no ability to fully express itself. So we need to have that step forward. We need to have that ankle underneath the wrist so that when he turns the foot out, hip in and bends this front knee, he has the ability to form a square on that front thigh. This is what we do in Iyengar Yoga, and we don't do anything less than this. We don't do anything more than this. This is the shape of this pose. Yes, and in the beginning, all we're concerned about is getting the student to understand the shape of the practice so that with months of practice, they can go on and refine the actual entirety of that practice. Come up, Eddie. So turn your foot in. Everybody bend your knees, rejoin your feet. Wonderful. Arms down, samastitihi. Inhale and exhale. Now join your fingertips in the center of your chest. Bend your knees, inhale, exhale. Walk the feet apart, go wide. And let the wrists be on top of the ankles. My wrists are on top of the ankles. My legs are straight. My torso is straight. My arms are straight. One of the things in this pose that people do problematically, this pose is called Utthita Hastasana. Utthita means extended. Hasta means hand. Pada means foot. One of the things that people do in this pose that's problematic for me is they have the hands here. There is no understanding of where the line of that body and where that parallel line within the body should be. And one of the things we strive for within Iyengar Yoga is this internal felt sense, this proprioceptive felt sense of where the body is in space. And so this having, even if his arms were there and he was up a little tiny bit there, that would still not be the correct line of those arms. And so we want for the arms to be in such a position where the palm of his hand is in line with his armpit. So I'm not aligning the back of his hand with the top of his shoulder, but rather I'm aligning the palm of his hand with the center of his armpit. So that's where we are in this Utthita Hastasana with the wrist on top of the ankles. Now take your hands on your pelvis, everybody. Hands can go on the pelvis if people need to take a break, because sometimes in the raw beginner class, the hands need to go down. People need to take a break. That's completely okay. Now reach the arms back out to the side, far away from each other. Let the shoulders be down. Let the triceps lift up. Let the shoulders be down. Let the triceps lift up. And now turn the right foot towards the right side. Turn the right foot towards the right. In teaching a raw beginner class for the first time, we don't, and I don't, talk about turning the back foot slightly in. And the reason for that is because the raw beginner is already struggling to figure out what they're doing in the class. So we know that you have to turn the right foot to the right and the back foot slightly in. But in the raw beginner class, I only focus on turning the right foot to the right. Lift your torso up, inhale, and exhale, bend your front knee, form a square. Bend the front knee, form a square, bring the front thigh parallel to the floor. In this pose, stomp into the back heel, stomp into the outside edge of the back foot, tighten your left knee and thigh, release the right thigh parallel to the floor, lift your torso upward, and reach the arms and lock the elbows. Now sharpen your back arm, which is your left arm, and inhale, come back up. Now we're going to do the left side. Reach the arms out to the side, turn the left foot to the left, and once again, in a raw beginner class, I don't worry myself about the back foot because I'm concerning myself with my raw beginner student just understanding the shape of what this pose is. Bend your front knee, form a square. Bend your front knee, form a square. Press down through the outside edge of your right foot. Right leg absolutely positively straight. Release the left thigh parallel to the floor. And sometimes that language, release the left thigh parallel to the floor, is too much for people. They don't understand that. So we say bend the front knee, form a square. Bend the left knee, form a square. Lift your torso upward and reach the arms and lock your elbows. Now sharpen the back arm and inhale, we come up. Turn the left foot forward. Now from this position, bend your knees, inhale, and exhale, walk the arms and legs back together. Arms down, samastitihi. Inhale, and we exhale. Now that the students know that they have the opportunity to walk the feet apart if they want to, now I tell them, if you want to continue walking the feet apart because you have a knee problem or for some other reason, then walk the feet apart, that's not a problem. But those of you who want to jump the feet apart can jump. So join the fingertips in the center of the chest, bend the knees, inhale, exhale, walk or jump. And turn the heels out, and my wrists are on top of my ankles. When I'm teaching people for the first time, I care about those basic things, wrist on top of the ankles, because I know that they won't be able to handle the more advanced things. I just want wrist on top of the ankles. Now we're taking our second bent knee standing pose, which is the Utthita Parsvakonasana. Turn the right foot towards the right side. Lift your torso, reach the arms and lock the elbows. Now bend your front knee, form a square. So I pass through the clarity of my Virabhadrasana II that I just did. My front thigh is parallel to the floor. Then I lift my torso even higher and I take my right hand down and I take my left hand overhead for my Utthita Parsvakonasana. And in this pose, I press down through the outside edge of my back foot. I lock my back kneecap. I release the front thigh parallel to the floor. I lengthen the navel to the crown of my head, and I reach the arms and lock the elbows. I reach the arms and I lock my elbows. Mel, take your bottom hand a little further forward. Yeah, and take the knee back. Knee back. Wonderful. Now sharpen the top arm, and through the sharpness of the top arm, inhale and come back up. Torso is in the center. Pelvis is in the center. Now I turn the right foot forward and I turn the left foot towards the left side. And I stomp into the heels, I lift my chest and I reach the arms, and I bend my front knee and I form a square. I first want to pass through the clarity that is this Virabhadrasana II. And after that clarity has been established over there, then I take my left hand down to the floor and I take my top arm overhead for my Utthita Parsvakonasana. In this pose, I press down through the outside edge of my right foot. I lock my right kneecap to the maximum. I release the left thigh parallel to the floor. I lengthen the navel to the crown of the head. Reach the arms and lock the elbows. And then from that position, I sharpen my right arm and I inhale and come back up. Pelvis in the center. Turn the left foot forward. Bend your knees. Inhale. Exhale, walk or jump. Rejoin the arms and legs. Arms down. Samastitihi. Inhale and exhale. So we've just demonstrated our two bent knee lateral standing poses. In Iyengar Yoga, as in classical ballet, the bending of the knees prepares us for more advanced practices later on where we are only going to be having the legs straight. So now that we've finished our two bent knee standing poses, we're going to take our first straight-legged asymmetrical standing pose, which is Utthita Trikonasana. Join the fingertips in the center of your chest, bend your knees, inhale, exhale, walk or jump. Wrist on top of the ankles. Stomp into your heels, lift the chest, reach the arms and lock the elbows. Now turn the right foot towards the right side. Legs straight, torso straight and arms straight. Now from there, I lift my torso up to the maximum and I exhale, I bend from my pelvis and I take my right hand down and my left hand straight up. And this is my Utthita Trikonasana. I stomp into the heels of my feet. I tighten the knees and thighs. I lengthen the navel to the crown of the head. And in the beginning of teaching this pose for the first time, I don't let the students take their head to look up at the top hand. And the reason why I don't let the students take their head to look up at the top hand is because oftentimes what happens when a student takes their head and looks up at the top hand, they let their whole bottom body go like that, and they let the whole thing twist. So I would rather the student face straight forward, look straight forward, and be in that position, as opposed to them trying to turn and look at the top hand and close the bottom chest in the process. So maintain your chest open, sharpen your top arm to the maximum, and inhale, we come up. Pelvis in the center. Now from there, I turn my right foot forward, I turn the left foot towards the left side. And once again, in the raw beginner class, I'm not concerned about saying that the back foot should also turn in. No. Just turn the front foot out, that's not a problem. And then legs straight, torso straight, arms straight. I inhale and lift my chest up, and then I exhale, bend from my pelvis, and my left hand is going down and my right hand is coming up for this Utthita Trikonasana. Our sequence was Virabhadrasana II, Utthita Parsvakonasana, 2 bent leg standing poses so that the body and the mind are more ready at this point to take this straight-legged standing pose, which is Utthita Trikonasana. My legs are straight, my torso is straight, and my arms are straight. In a raw beginner class, those are the only points that I emphasize. My legs are straight, my torso is straight, and my arms are straight. And the straightening of this top hand should go everlastingly upward. Push my hand away from you. Push my hand away from you so that there's a sense of integrity and vitality on this top hand, and the top hand isn't just there doing nothing in space. Now I sharpen the top hand and I inhale and I come back up with my pelvis in the center. I lift my torso and reach my arms. Then I turn my left foot forward. I bend my knees, inhale, and I exhale and I walk or jump. Arms down. Samastitihi. Inhale, and we exhale.